Dr. Richard Newland, thank you very much for your time and for speaking to Aintree.co.uk. You're approaching 50 winners for the season. You obviously had a couple of winners at Fakenham and Hexham in recent memory just the other week. Does it get to this point in the season where you still set goals or have certain expectations, would you say?
I definitely have expectations. Probably, if we hit 50 for the third year in a row, we'd be pleased with that. The yards progressed well over a number of years. I'm quite keen on strike rate. We're a little bit down this year than sometimes, but still up near about 17% strike rate, something like that. So I hope that we'll beef that up a bit and get it well over the 50 number. It's been a really funny year for everyone with COVID. Difficult year because we didn't start until beginning of July. We missed 3 months there. So, I think if we can get nicely over the 50 mark by the end of the month and end of April, and then hopefully kick on with a new team for the summer.
Fantastic. One of your obviously stars for the season was Captain Tomcat of Diva Racing. He scored a hat-trick with wins at Uttoxeter in Cheltenham, obviously kind of just before the real winter season kicked in. I believe he's going chasing next year, but will we see him back over hurdles one more time this campaign?
Yeah, I think so. Provisional plan, he's well on his way, close to running actually. He's had a nice break and then he's been in good training since the turn of the year. Plan is to run probably at the April Cheltenham meeting for him. Have a go at that, and then after that, I would think we'll be going novice chasing with him. But he's a lovely horse and a good one to go chasing with.
He's got the scope, hasn't he? He's a very, very. I've seen some videos. Obviously, Ryan Tung, the Diva Racing manager, he's good on Twitter, and I think he'll certainly take to offence based on the scope and appearance he has. That's for sure.
I hope so. Yeah, definitely. Good attitude for it. He's happy out the front as well, galloping, just a big long striding galloping, as you say, lots of size. So lot to look forward to.
Very good. And just on a more sort of personal note, I know you're obviously a Worcestershire-based trainer. I only live in Droitwich, you see, so I'm only around the corner from you. Is there a course in particular that you enjoy visiting the most, or that you just tend to always get that little bit of luck?
Well, to be honest, I'm one of the few, but I love going to Worcester. I was disappointed that Worcester was off last year. We've had some good times there. I've been champion trainer for 2 years, I've joked, because last year we were champion trainer the year before, and for the first time, and then last year they didn't have a meeting, so I reckon I've defended my title. So but we like Worcester. I think it's a very good track actually, a big honest galloping track with fixed brush hurdles, very fair. But I mean, I've had great days at Market Raisin, Uttoxeter. It's always been very good to me. Before I lived in Worcester, I used to live very close to Uttoxeter races. So that's always been close to my heart too. And one of my oldest friends, the guy who won the national with me, John Proven, he lives around the corner. That's how we met, around the corner from Uttoxeter races. So any of those, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, obviously, undoubtedly, the greatest moment of your career as a trainer was, Pineau De Re's national win back in 2014, obviously ridden by Leighton Aspel. Did you have quiet hopes and a little bit of confidence going into the race, or was it a little bit of a shock?
Ridiculously, I was quite confident going into the race, but it's only when they all lined up and you see 40 of them lined up together, you think, really? Why was I ever confident about this? But actually, he'd run such a good race in the Pertemps final. As an 11-year-old, he damn nearly won the Pertemps final handicap at Cheltenham. And, he if he hadn't missed the last, I think he would have won. He got beaten 2 necks. A yard off the line, he'd won it. And I can't remember off the top of my head the horses, but you looking back, that fight, let's put it this way, in 5th was Jetson, who then went and won the... do I mean Jetson? I do mean Jetson. No, Jessica Harrington's horse. It won the Group 1 at Punchestown a month later. That's how good that form was. So, and he was left as a sort of 50-1 outsider for the national after that. And we were very hopeful going in. But when you see them lining up, you need a lot of luck in running, and obviously it was our lucky day. But I think he deserved to be, and quite a few tipsters put him up actually.
Yeah.
Nearer the time. So, he definitely had form chances to win it.
I think he was about 14-1, was he? So he was kind of, in national terms, he was at a fairly short price.
Well, I think he went off at 28-1, but he was backed into 16-1, whatever, and then he drifted on the day. And I'm sure that's because, we're a very small yard relative to some of the big guns playing it. So, yeah, but no, we were hopeful.
How did you celebrate that evening? Can you remember?
Remember, yeah. I mean, it was incredible. We had a because you have to decide what you're going to do, and I thought I said to my daughters who were all there, we all agreed to, should we go to the local pub and have a celebration there, or should we just have a glass of champagne back at ours with our friends and watch the video of the race? And in the end we decided to do the pub, and when we came back, I actually drove back from Aintree. The others were in a van, and everyone had been on the go, everyone was knackered. Yeah. And it was sort of 9 o'clock at night, and I got in, and I saw my wife was lying on the couch watching the video. I'd not seen a rerun of the race at all. No. And I was just decided to watch, and I said, what a stupid idea to go to the pub. And anyway, one of my daughters said, well, it's a bit late now, we've agreed to go. And so we turned around the pub, and there were 300 people there. It's amazing. They've all been what's the word, using, texting their mates and all the rest of it. Yeah. And we stood up, and someone I think threw champagne over me, and then I stood up and I said, I'll go for it, lads, let's have a free bar. So I put a free bar on for the night, and we had a hell of a night. So I mean it went on to about 1:30, 2, whatever, but it was yeah, I was quite clear in my head, these things probably don't happen many times in your life, so just make the most of it.
Absolutely.
The next day, I don't really know this story, but the next day I had 3 runners at Market Raisin, and yeah. I don't actually planned in advance what happened if we win the race. That's you asking about confidence. What happens if we win the race? Because I want to go to Market Raisin to watch these other 3, but you always have, the national winner always has an open morning with the press and everything there. Yeah. And so I booked 3 days in advance of the race a helicopter to only come if we won the race. Yeah. And when I rang up booking it, I think the people thought, who the hell is this idiot? But instead of me, but they accepted it, and they said, well, what's the name of the horse? I said Pineau De Re. And then on the Saturday after the race, at 6 o'clock, I thought, Christ, I've got to get hold of them before they go. I need that helicopter. And they went, yeah, we know, we all backed it. So they were well happy.
Oh, fantastic.
The next day we had an open morning, and then a chopper arrived about 11 o'clock or something. John Proven, who'd owned Pineau De Re with me, also owned our first runner. We was in the Lady Rider's cellar at Market Raisin the next day. Same colours, won that one as well. We had a double at the Raisin and came back. So it was a hell of a weekend.
Fantastic. Well, again, like you say, it wasn't just the one day itself. It's those kind of, even those small winners, as you rightly allude to, at the kind of courses like Market Raisin that almost mean as much because of the people that are involved, and that's what obviously makes National Hunt racing so fantastic, doesn't it?
Yeah, you've got to enjoy the crack of racing. I think you do get quite a few owners sometimes say, I only want Saturday horses, quote unquote. I want to be this crowd. Really, the people who get the most fun out of it just enjoy the ride with all the horses at whatever level they're at, and try to do that. Of course, we all want Cheltenham winners if we could, but not easy to get. So just enjoy the whole ride. Absolutely
right. It sounds like you certainly did that. I think it's coming up to 7 years ago now. I bet it feels like time's flown. You may well be represented. You may correct me on this. Bo Bay, who obviously won the Sefton. I think he might need a few kind of higher in the handicap to drop out. Is there plans to run him there?
No, not really. No. In fact, he definitely wouldn't run. I mean, we'd love to run him in the race, but he's not going to get in. So I'm not expecting to get in. The only reason you leave a horse like that in is to get your money back from your entry fees. So I'm not expecting him to get a run.
No, okay. Do you have any maybe other? Do you have any other potential?
Al Rock, but unfortunately we had to take him out at the first withdrawal stage because he's had 1 or 2 issues, and we haven't got him right. So he's not actually officially qualified yet. You have to, he's never. It's funny. He's done a lot of winning in France, but he's never won over 3 miles. He's never been in the first 4 over 3 miles, which you have to do. And we ran him in 1 race at Taunton, and Wretched Horse came 5th. And he just needs something to 4th, and he'd been qualified. But because he wasn't qualified, and then he had a few issues, I was running out of time, so we've just given up. But hopefully next year.
Okay, fantastic. Outside of racing, Richard, I know obviously it's a busy sport, and it probably feels 24/7 sometimes. But how would you sort of spend your spare time outside of horse racing?
Well, I've been, until very recently, I've been full-time business guy as well as running racing, as well as doing the racing yard. But it's changed a fair bit for me. I've sold 1 or 2 businesses, and I've got more time for the racing now. So, and we built a new yard near you up in Droitwich, you see, near Cutnell Green. So we've got 2 yards running, and we've expanded the numbers. So, we're not ridiculously expanded, but expanded for us. So we run 62 boxes now. So 62 boxes. So we perhaps have certainly maybe up to 50 that are so in full training with 1 or 2 box resters and this sort of thing. So it's a bigger job than it was.
Yeah.
But racing's my main focus now. In the past, it was really my hobby rather than, but now it's my main thing.
Okay, that makes sense. Obviously, inside of racing, the regular rider for yourself is Sam Twiston-Davies. What is it about his riding style and his strengths that kind of attracted him to engage and ride for you on the regular?
Yeah, well, Sam, I mean, it's worked really well with Sam, and actually one of the biggest disappointments for me, although Leighton gave Pineau De Re a sensational ride on the day, but it was disappointing for me that Sam wasn't riding him. He'd ridden him at Cheltenham and all the rest of it, but he ended up riding one for Paul Nicholls at Tidal Bay. Yeah, in the race, and it's because he was just about to join Paul as stable jockey and was no doubt felt under pressure to do that, but. Sam is I've known Sam a long time actually. I mean I remember him having his first ride for me when he was 17, and he was still claiming £7, but only he just turned professional, and he won on that first ride, and I've always thought of him as an outstanding jockey. He is an outstanding jockey, but he's also a great guy, and that what I like about Sam is we have a good, open, honest relationship. He's a 100% trier. Tries very, very hard at everything he does. He gives them all good rides, and he comes into the yard once or twice a week, probably twice a week in the summer, once a week in the winter, and everyone gets on. He gets on with us. We get on with him. Everyone, he's got a very good team ethos, and so he's just a great guy to have in your team, basically, and a top class jockey. He's ridden about 1,100 winners now. I was very pleased. He had his 1,000th. Well, it can't be last year. It must be year before last on Chef de Trip on our horse at Southwell. I was quite pleased about that. So that was his 1,000th winner. But no, he's a good guy to have in your team.
Absolutely right. And he's obviously, as you say, still young, and you can probably envisage him one day being that sort of champion jockey and that next almost Richard Johnson AP kind of star in the sport.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's his aspiration. That might not help me because obviously the more he does, he may get sucked into other bigger yards. But that's the way it is. He's ridden, I think, something like not far short of 170 winners for us. So it's significantly more than anybody else has. So no, look, he's good. He's good. He's a good guy to work with, and always will be, I'm sure.
And Richard, is there anything in your training career that you'd still like to achieve that maybe you haven't quite yet?
Yeah. I mean, no, look, I definitely would like my aspiration would be to be talking to you again in a couple of years' time, having won the national again. That would be special. We'd all like Cheltenham Festival winners. I had one in my first season, 2007. You won't need me to tell you how difficult that is. But that, of course, we'd like to do those things, but equally it's difficult because the national's a bit different. But I've never been willing to pay the big money. In the Cheltenham Festival, you just look at the prices that people are paying for geldings that are worth nothing when they're injured or retired or finished. So, it doesn't make any commercial sense to do it. But from a personal achievement point of view, I wouldn't mind to win the national again and 1 or 2 more festival winners. That would be a big aim. I've got no aspirations to kind of win the championship and because I don't want to have a 200 box yard. That's not what I'm in it for. I'd just like to keep slightly raising the quality of it if I can. Although I might add, I'm not. It's funny. We really enjoy success stories with cheap horses at the lower end. As a yard, enjoy it. Buying them for £5,000, plotting, and then winning 4 or 5 races with that's good fun. And it may never be top class horses, but you can have a lot of fun on the journey. Yeah, with those horses. And we've got something this year actually with the Foxtrots. We've launched a new thing called Foxtrot Red Caps. Have you come across that yet?
I'm not sure I have. No, can you tell me about it? I'm doing
with Dan Abraham Foxtrot, but basically I've selected 5. I thought there might be a problem with lack of owners with COVID, and and there may still be. There might be a big fallout and poor prizemen and all the rest of it. But so I bought 5 horses over the last few months at the lower, cheaper end of the spectrum, put them into a team, and I've given them as a free lease to Foxtrot, and we call them the Foxtrot Red Caps. to see how they get on this summer, specifically campaigning at summer races. It's a team to go to war with in the summer. And people, I think, there may be just a small handful of shares left. There were 50 shareholders. I think maybe 5 or 6 shares left max, but looking forward to that. So things like that, exciting new projects, albeit they're not aimed to expect to win at Cheltenham or anything, but you never know, something might rise up through the pack and do a Captain Tomcat like he was last year. He was a cheap buy and ended up at winning at the October Cheltenham meeting. So
yeah,
enjoy
those the syndicates, and I know obviously that there's plenty of syndicates that you kind of have involved in the yard, like Diva, like Foxtrot, that kind of make the sport affordable to everyone. And it's not, like you say, necessarily about the money or the success. It's all kind of about the journey.
Yeah, and it's great when people just love their horses and love the experience. I mean, the problem in racing is everyone, all owners, it's just inevitable. It's human nature. We all get higher and higher expectations. We can't all win at the Cheltenham Festival. We can't all win every race. And if you're not careful, people are very down and depressed when their horse doesn't want to race. But actually, you may have run a great race. You come third at Newbury or something, or third at Ascot. You've done bloody pretty well. Anyway, yeah.
Absolutely right. And obviously, Richard, we are Aintree.co.uk. I know obviously with the clock's kind of ticking. Could you just sum up for me in just a few words what the Grand National means to you, or maybe just that day and that memory looking back?
Well, I mean, the day in memory, you rightly say, is not only certainly my greatest racing moment, without a question, but equally is probably my greatest personal moment, full stop, not just in racing but in life. But it's an incredible thing, horse racing, because when it all happens so quickly, and 1 minute you haven't won the race, the next minute you have, or not, as the case may be, so your emotions go through the roof, and but to me it's the number one race in the world. For me, for jump racing, why I'm a jump race trainer, as a kid, the race we all remember, for me, I'm a bit older than you, but Red Rum's Grand Nationals, etc. I was brought up on that, watching Red Rum winning the Grand National, etc. So although we're not a racing family, and I wasn't into racing until I was about 18 or so, but I still remember those moments. It is the race that transcends racing into the general public. And that's why, if you said to me, you can win the Gold Cup or win the National again, I'd go for the National, even though we won the National. That is what I'd like to do. So it's a fantastic race. It's brilliantly run by Aintree now, which Aintree's done an incredible job at the whole meeting, raising the standards of it. But it's a superb race, and I'm just gutted I won't have a runner in it this year.
You won't have a runner in it this year, but obviously fond memories of 2014 that obviously no one can take away from you, that's for sure. And again, a bit of a shame that there'll be no crowd there, but it's certainly better than the whole event being cancelled as it was last year. Just one quick one, if I could. Your opinions on Tiger Roll being withdrawn from the race? Are you surprised by that?
Nothing surprises you with those people, but I thought it was the most appalling behaviour. I have no time for it at all, and they seem to, why on earth they think their horse should have been. What they should be now doing is writing an apology letter to the handicapper and saying they got it wrong. Yeah, what they should be doing. Yeah, the handicapper was right. It's absolute nonsense, and it's a real great shame that they can't rise above their own situation to think, well, actually, it is a public horse when you've won the National twice and you're doing it. That's been big for the event. So extremely disappointing he's not running. Yeah. And in my eyes, a very poor decision made by the owners. Yeah. Okay. Is that strong enough, Dominic?
That's a great point. That's a fantastic point. Well made. Well, no, it's like you said, it's a shame. A public horse, as you well know, with Pineau De Re having won it in 2014, and like you say, hopefully this time next year or in 2 years we're speaking again, and you've had some more success in the race. Aintree.co.uk, Dr. Richard Newland, really appreciate your time, and obviously we wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season.